First, we will take up the superficial structures found in the posterior part of the forearm. And we have here the cutaneous nerves. No? So when you say cutaneous nerves, it means that it will supply what structure? When you say cutaneous nerve, it will supply the skin. Okay, so what are the nerve supply to the skin in the posterior part of the forearm? Yeah, you have here posterior cutaneous nerve. Okay, this is the branch of the radial nerve, so this part here. And then you have posterior cutaneous nerve, a branch of space. Musculocutaneous. Lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Take note that this lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm is a branch of musculocutaneous. Now this musculocutaneous is the one that supplies the anterior aspect of the muscles in the arm. And then the musculocutaneous nerve, as the name implies, musculo, it will supply muscles, and then also cutaneous, meaning after supplying the muscle, it will continue as the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm, supplying the skin on the medial side of the forearm. Okay, so with regards to the branch of the medial cord, we see what are the branches of the medial cord. We have medial cutaneous nerve to the arm and medial cutaneous nerve to the forearm. So this is the one, the medial cutaneous nerve to the forearm. So the medial cutaneous nerve to the forearm, branch of the medial cord. The posterior lateral cutaneous nerve to the forearm, branch of musculocutaneous here, and then the posterior cutaneous branch of the radial. So the skin are supplied by branches of the radial cutaneous branch from the musculocutaneous and from the medial cord posterior cutaneous. And you have here the veins. We mentioned before that the veins in the body, unlike the arteries, the veins in the body are divided into two groups. You have superficial veins and you have the deep veins. The superficial veins are the one that you can find superficial or cutaneous structures. These are found in the skin, while the deep veins are the one that accompany the arteries, and usually the deep veins will follow the name of the artery. Okay, that's why you can remove the veins. You can remove the superficial veins. You can still have a return flow of the blood, venous blood, because you have deep veins. That's why if you still remember, or if you know about the great saphenous vein that is being stripped off, we call that the venous stripping. Oh, yes, there are some patients where the venous veins, great saphenous vein has been removed and being used as heart bypass. They use the great saphenous vein. You can do that because you have two sets of veins. You have superficial and deep. When you remove the superficial, be sure that the deep veins are parted. Walang blockage. So these are the cephalic vein on the radial side, and you have the basilic vein on the medial side. These originate from the so-called dorsal venous network at the dorsum of the hand, the dorsal venous network. Also, in the dorsum of the hand, you will find other cutaneous nerves. We have here the dorsal branch, this one here, the dorsal branch of the ulnar nerve, which will supply the skin over this region here. So we call that the anatomical position, this will be on the medial side. So more or less the medial 1/3, the skin on the medial 1/3 of the dorsum of the hand is supplied by the posterior or dorsal branch of the ulnar nerves in this area here. Okay? While on the radial side, you have superficial branch of the radial nerve. So the superficial branch of the radial nerve supplies the so-called lateral two-third, lateral. So we divide into this one one-third, this one two-third, belongs to the superficial branch of the radial nerve. This is the one that supplies the skill in the dorsum there. Okay, this is another illustration. Posterior ini. Okay, so we said that this one here is the medial side supplied by the lateral cutaneous medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Yes, the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. A branch of what? Branch of what cord? Medial cord. While this one is the lateral cutaneous nerve. A branch of musculocutaneous, terminal branch of musculocutaneous. And then you have the posterior cutaneous, this one part here, so branch of radial nerve. And this is the one I mentioned before. What in the dorsum of the hand, this is the one that's supplied by the dorsal cutaneous branch of the ulnar nerve. So all the entire lateral or medial, in anatomical position, this is the medial one-third of the dorsum of the hand, and the fingers supplied by the dorsal branch of the ulnar nerve. But you take notice on the lateral side or the radial side, this area here is supplied by primarily by the superficial branch of the radial nerve, but not the fingers or the distal end or the nail beds. You can see the nail beds are not supplied by the radial nerve, but by the median nerve. Okay. Okay, so this is again an illustration of the superficial branch of the radial nerve. Okay, so the radial nerve therefore will divide into two terminal branches, the deep branch and the superficial branch. And the superficial branch is a cutaneous branch. Take note, it is not, it will not supply muscles, it will only supply the skin. So this is the area supplied by the Okay, so this is the superficial branch of the radial nerve. What is being cut here are the cephalic. You're supposed to see a cephalic vein that will cross that area here. And also, I will take this opportunity to discuss this area here. Chargeable ba yun? Relative point. Right? Ano pagkuha din?
Ito na pagkita.
Our PowerPoint na.
I need help. Sino mo magkuha?
I think may pointer itong ano.
Ang clock nga battery. Iba ba?
Ano yun?
Yung Forearm. Space lock makita. Campuat dong.
Okay. Hindi lang. Mandiri madala. Alright. Okay. You have there, ano tawag dito, pointer ba yan? So that region, that area here, Do you know what is that area? That is the so-called anatomical snap box. Okay, and you can appreciate it here, and the indentation here, in the root of the thumb, the dorsal aspect. That is called anatomical snap. Ano spelling snap?
SNAP.
May mga dash ha. Anatomical dash snap dash box. Okay, so that is the so-called anatomical snap box. And you should know the tendons. What are the tendons that serves as the boundaries? Boundaries. Okay. You do like this, so take note that the region of the thumb is the lateral side. Okay. Basta thumb lateral yan ha. In anatomical position, the thumb is located laterally. Okay. So, what are the tendons that serves as the lateral boundary of the anatomical snap box? Dalawa yan. Ano yan? Abductor pollicis, longus, and extensor pollicis brevis. Right? Kikita ba? So that would be on the lateral boundary. Lateral boundary. Okay? So when you see pollicis ba yan nakalagay? Okay, so the lateral boundary of the anatomical snap box is the abductor pollicis longus and the extensor pollicis brevis. While the medial boundary is only one, that is extensor pollicis longus. Can you see that? Insertion? Okay, so that is the boundary of the anatomical snap box. And take note of the carpal bones that serves as the floor. You have two. You can see that the two carpal bones. What are the carpal bones which serve as the floor of the anatomical snap box? Scaphoid and trapezium. Can you see? Those are the carpal bones which serves as the floor. So why is this important? Because in the anatomical snap box, you will find an artery. And what is that artery? Radial artery. So the radial artery is the content of anatomical snap box. So, and you can appreciate that you try to palpate the anatomical snap box, you should be able to feel the pulsation. So you can feel the pulsation in the radial artery, in the distal third of the forearm. You can feel it here where you have the pulse. You take the pulse here. That is one. And then when you try to palpate also at the anatomical snap box, you should be able to feel the pulsation of the radial artery. So the radial artery is the content of the so-called anatomical snap box. Another clinical consideration here, the so-called anatomical snap box, is the scaphoid bone. You know, among the carpal bones, the most commonly fractured carpal bone is the scaphoid bone. And when you suspect of fractured scaphoid bone, you have to palpate the anatomical snap box. If there is tenderness in the floor of the anatomical snap box, you suspect fractured scaphoid bone, and you submit the patient to an X-ray. Okay, so now we'll take up the muscles in the posterior compartment of the forearm. Now, first the lateral. So we have lateral and posterior. Now, for the lateral, you have only two muscles. What are the two muscles in the lateral compartment? You can find it there. One is brachioradialis, and the other one, extensor carpi radialis longus. So these are the two muscles found in the lateral compartment of the forearm. And take note that they have common site of origin. You have a common site of the origin. So that would be the lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus. So it takes origin from the humerus, the so-called supracondylar ridge, lateral supracondylar ridge. So we have the common site of origin. And when you try to analyze the action of the muscle, you try to see the name. Usually the name of the muscle will be derived from its attachment and then its action. So you see here the brachio, so meaning to say it takes origin from arm. So what is the bone of the arm? Humerus. So brachio radialis. So radialis meaning to say it will be inserted where? What bone? Oh, radius. So in fact it will be inserted in the styloid process of the radius. Okay, so by that analyzing the position of the muscle, this muscle cannot act on the rest. It will not act on the rest because it will terminate in the bone radius. So its action will be on the elbow because it takes origin from the bone. So primary action will be the flexion. It acts on the elbow joint. So it is also a flexor of the elbow joint. And another important action is the one muscle responsible for the so-called mid-prone position of the forearm. What is the mid-prone position? This one here. This one. This is supination, right? This is pronation, and mid-prone is this one. And this is the primary action of brachioradialis. It flexes the elbow joint and on the mid-prone position on the forearm. Take note with regards to the importance of the mid-prone position, this one here, because this is the so-called functional position of forearm. Functional. When you stabilize the forearm, it should not be extended, it should not be flexed, but it should be in the mid-prone position. I'm sure you have seen some people with problems in the upper extremity where they put a sling. Try to see the position of the forearm. It is mid-prone. This is the functional position. And in this position, the bones, the radius, and all that are stable. Stable. Because the primary, what is the primary structure that connects the radius and ulna? The radius and ulna are primarily connected to each other by a membrane called interosseous membrane. It is the primary structure that connects the two bones. Interosseous membrane. We will encounter that later on. In this position, the interosseous membrane is taut. You know what is taut? T-A-U-T. Ano man taut?
Retention.
Ha? Retention? Huwag na unat siya ba? Taut. Taut. T-A-U-T. T-A-U-T. How do you pronounce that? Bahala na kamo kung pronounce. Basta in that position, the radius and ulna are in mid-prone position. The mid-radius and ulna are stable because the interosseous membrane is taut. Okay, that's why it should be placed in mid-prone position. That's the action of brachioradialis. Then you have extensor carpi radialis longus muscle. Take note also of the action. So it's extensor. So it will extend. Carpi. When you encounter the term carpi, it means ano man? Carpal or metacarpal. Carpal or metacarpal. It means this muscle will be inserted either in the carpal or the metacarpal. So it will extend. And then the third is what is that? Radialis. So radialis, she means to say it would be on the lateral. Kaya radial is located lateral. So extensor carpi radialis muscle, so takes origin from the supracondylar ridge, the lateral supracondylar ridge. Then it will be inserted into actually it's metacarpal, the second metacarpal bone. So it will be on the radial sides, and it is longus. So meaning to say the tendon, when you encounter the term longus, expect that the tendon is long. While the other is, the opposite is brevis. Brevis and the tendon is shorter. So, what would be the action of this muscle? Because it extends into, it passes through the rest region, it will extend what? The rest, extension of the rest, and then because it's found in the lateral side, it will also abduct, adduct, abduct, okay, also abduct, so it will extend, also abduct. Okay. Take note with regards to the nerve supply. All the muscles in the lateral compartment, all the muscles in the posterior compartment are supplied by radial nerve. Radial nerve. So these are the two muscles which belongs to the lateral compartment. Then in the posterior compartment, the muscles here are divided into superficial group and the deep group of muscles. Okay, and you can see here the deep group of muscles. So we'll start on the radial side. What is that? Extensor, extensor carpi ulnaris muscle. Flexor ba yan? Flexor, extensor. Extensor. Yung flexor sa ano yan? Anterior compartment. Okay ha? So disregard that one. Okay, so we'll start with extensor carpi ulnaris. When we say carpi ulnaris, it is lateral or the medial side? In anatomical position of the upper extremity, when you say carpi ulnaris, medial side, so it will be on the medial side. And then it's extensor, meaning it will extend. Carpi, it's either in the carpal bone or in the metacarpal. So it will, here I think it's on the third metacarpal bone, it's the attachment insertion. So it will extend the rest, extend the rest, and also adduct, abduct, adduct in the medial side. So, madali, I love pag-memorize nyo, ano? You don't have to memorize, you just analyze the word. The term. Okay, yan na. So, the next. Now, take note of the superficial group of muscles. They have the same site of origin. And they have a common tendon. Common externus tendon. They have a common tendon of origin. And that tendon is attached to what bone? Lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Okay, that is the common site of origin of what? Superficial group of muscles in the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. You have discussed the anterior compartment. You have also the superficial group, which has a common origin in the medial epicondyle. Yeah? Sa anterior compartment. Posterior compartment, they have also a common site of origin, lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Okay, so we have already taken up extensor carpi ulnaris. Then next, extensor. Ano yan ang extensor? Extensor digiti minimi muscle. Okay, so we know already the action. So this muscle is extensor. Digiti, meaning to say it will be inserted into digits. When we say digits, ano man ang bone sa digits? Phalanx, phalanges. Phalanges. Okay. So you expect that this muscle will be inserted into the phalanges. In fact, it is actually inserted the phalanges through the so-called dorsal expansion of the tendon, dorsal expansion. So by the name, as the name implies, it will extend what? The digit. What digit? Minimi. What is minimi? The fifth finger. Okay? So, fifth finger. So, it will extend the fifth finger. Okay. Because again, it's found in the ulnar side, it could help also with the adduction. Extensor digitorum. Okay, digitorum. So meaning to say, it will be this muscle, try to see, this muscle will break into how many tendons? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tendons. Okay? So it's extensor digitorum muscle. So as the name implies, its action will be all the digits. Now take note, those that acts on the digits will also act on the rest. Take note, ha? Those long tendons, long extensor tendons, or even the long flexor, if they will bypass, cross the rest joint, they will act on the rest joint. Understand? Did you understand? Kung ang tendon malapos sa wrist joint attached to the fingers, it will not only extend the fingers but also helps in extension of the wrist. Although the wrist joint has its own primary muscle for extension, but this long flexor will also help in the extension of the wrist joint. Okay, so we will extend the digits. Now, in the fingers here, the digits here, right? Can you see? Ano maning when you do like this extension of the fingers, meaning to say this will be this part, but this part here is not a finger. Ano man ini? Metacarpal ini. Ini din phalanges. Ano man ini joint extend here? Knuckles. Knuckles, correct. But ini nga joints pa din eh. This is metacarpal. This is phalanges. So what is this joint? Metacarpophalangeal joints. You understand? Ini ang metacarpal bones man ini at the dorsum of the hand. The bones here are metacarpals. No. So if the bones here are metacarpals, hi man carpal. And banda dito. Tudlok daw. Metacarpal ini yung bones sa hand, metacarpal ini yung bones at the dorsum of the hand, metacarpal. I'm asking, hi man carpal. Didi. If you try to see anteriorly, ay man dito ang carpal. Ayo didi kay metacarpal ini. Arayo na duro. Yan, correct yan. Distal crease. Try to take the distal crease together. Okay? At the rest joint, distal crease. You have the distal crease? Yeah, distal crease ba? Now, to locate the carpal bones in the distal crease, you put 2 fingers. 2 fingers. Yan, distal crease. Yung first finger is the location of the proximal row. The second finger is the location of the distal row. Okay, so your guide is the distal crease. Put your 2 fingers there. Okay, yung distal crease, that is the location of the wrist joint. Yung distal crease, so that is moving, that is the location of the wrist joint. So you put the fingers just beyond, after the distal crease, put 2 fingers. The first row, the first finger is the location of the proximal row of the carpal bones. Okay, the second finger is the location of the distal row of the carpal bones. That is where, how you locate. Didi, metacarpal nga di.
Unatik kang pulso. Wala ba natik ang pulso pero ada ka crease.
Okay, so you have here the extensor digitorum that will divide into 4 tendons, and it would be inserted into the lateral 4 fingers, but not the thumb. The thumb has its own tendons, has its own muscle tendons. Okay, so as the name implies, extensor digitorum, it will extend the fingers. It will be inserted into the middle and the distal phalanges. Okay. Take note also that in the hand, the phalanges, how many phalanges?
4. O 5.
In each finger, how many phalanx? Phalanx. Each finger yan. Ini.
3.
3. Except the thumb, is just only 2. Okay.
The pollex.
Okay, so these are the muscles, the muscles in the superficial group of muscles. So what are the muscles again? Extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digiti minimi, extensor digitorum, extensor carpi radialis brevis. Brevis, take note the word brevis, kaya ang lunggos sa lateral compartment. Mag-ibahira. Ang extensor carpi radialis brevis, part of the muscles in the posterior compartment. And extensor carpi radialis longus, part of the muscles in the lateral. Understand? Ang longus, part of the lateral. Ang brevis, part of the posterior compartment. Okay, and then you have also unconeus muscles. So these are the muscles, the superficial group of muscles. Okay. Now the deep group. Now these are the deep group of the muscles. Now we have removed the superficial, and you can appreciate the deep group. Okay, so one, starting from above, you have there what? Supinator. Okay? Supinator muscle. Now, as the name implies, supinate, it will be inserted in the radius. Okay? And it also partially takes origin from the lateral epicondyle. And its action is supination. What is supination of the forearm? Like this. This one is supination. This one is pronation. Okay, so it is its primary action is to supine the forearm. Now take note of this. The so-called supination or pronation occurs on what joint? Elbow. Wrong. Ano pa? What joint? Supination, pronation occurs in what joints? It occurs in 2 joints. Ano nga joints? Proximal radio-ulnar joint at distal radio-ulnar joints. Proximal radio-ulnar and distal radio-ulnar joints. The movements there is the supination and pronation. That is where the, yes, we will take that up later on. So this is this is a supinator of the forearm. But take note that this is not the primary muscle that makes supination. What is the primary muscle that causes supination? You know what is the primary muscle? You have 2 important muscles that cause supination. Supination is stronger than pronation. Diba? That's why when you open the cork, it should be supine. Because you have there a big muscle. aside from supinator, we have another muscle that is primary responsible for supination. And that muscle is? No. The biceps brachii. Biceps brachii is the primary supinator of the forearm. Okay. So what are the other superficial deep group muscles? So you have there that takes origin from the radius abductor, pollicis, longus muscle. Ang sapit niya, take note, magsapit kira. Extensor, pollicis, ano yung pollicis nila? Abductor, pollicis, longus, and extensor, pollicis brevis. Take note na pag mo kumamalipat. Okay? So, these two muscles belonging to the deep group abductor. When you say pollicis, meaning to say what it will act on what part of the finger, thumb. And then longus, meaning to say that the tendon is longer. So if it is a long tendon, it will be attached in the distal phalanx. Wala pa may tendon, it will be inserted in the distal phalanx. Okay. So as the name implies, abductor, it will abduct and also extend the thumb. Abduct, also extend. So when we say abduction, the thumb, what will be the position? The thumb will move forward. Abduction is forward. And from anatomical position, it moves forward. So the other is the extensor pollicis brevis muscle. So as the name implies, it is shorter. So it will be inserted not on the phalanges, but in the metacarpal bone. So extensor. Then the other group, the other muscle is, now this form what boundary? The lateral or the medial? Yung abductor and the extensor pollicis brevis. Anatomical position. Lateral. So if that's the lateral, the other one is medial, and that is extensor pollicis longus muscle. You have it there, the deep group. Extensor pollicis longus muscle is also part of the deep group muscles, and it forms the medial boundary of the anatomical snapbacks. And then you have also the last extensor indicis. Extensor indicis muscle. As the name implies, it will act on what finger? Indicis. Index finger. What is the index finger? First or second? First. The second finger is the index finger. So this muscle X on the index finger extends the index finger. Okay, so these are the group muscles. Okay. Now, regards to the nerve supply, now it has all these muscles supplied by the radial nerve. Now, take note that the radial nerve, in the region of the arm, it will be located where? In what part of the humerus? In the middle of the humerus, the radial nerve will be lodged. What do you call that? Huh? The bicipital group. Spiral group. Yun. It will be lodged in the spiral group. So initially, the radial nerve will be located posteriorly. Okay? It will be located in the posterior compartment of the arm and lodged in the spiral groove. And it is accompanied by an artery. What is that artery? No. The radial. Ano bang artery sa arm? Brachial. Ang artery sa arm is brachial. The brachial artery, take note, is the continuation of what artery? Axillary. So what part ni makita nimo you change the name from axillary to brachial?
Pectoralis,
Eh,
There is clear.
yan. Usa.
Major.
Medyo. Okay. Take note of that. Axillary artery, by the way, axillary artery is the continuation of
Jugular.
subclavian artery. Yeah. When will you call it axillary? After passing
Pectoralis.
first rib, outer border, first rib. After passing the outer border, first rib, ang tawag niya, axillary na. And then after that, goes down. And then at the lower border of the tendon of teres major. Lower border of the tendon of teres major. That is the boundary. It will now change its name. Brachial artery na tawag. Okay, and then the brachial artery will give off its largest branch. What is the largest branch of the brachial artery? This branch will accompany the radial nerve. What?
Sorry, no.
It is correct pag ako mag-study. Kalapa ba itong exam? 100 items. Yeah. This is included na. Wala pa ako mag-imong exam. I will text you kung anong baga-review. Profunda brachii. Wala ka magkakita. The largest branch of brachial artery is profunda brachii artery. Okay, and it is the one that supplies the posterior compartment of the arm. And the profunda brachii will accompany the radial nerve. Both of them will be lodged in that groove. What is the name of the groove? Spiral groove. Okay. That's why in fracture of the humerus, especially the fracture is on the middle part of the humerus, the radial nerve, because it is attached to the bone, is liable to be injured. Radial nerve. That is the most common site of injury of the radial nerve. Fracture of the midshaft, the middle of the humerus, middle part of the humerus. And when that happens, what would be the sequela? You know what's this? Ano man eh? Diri makasugal ito. Yun lang ka mo sugal. They can move, the fingers can move, pero they cannot extend. Ang tawag ini? Wrist drop. Wrist drop. Injury to the radial nerve will lead to a condition called wrist drop. The most common site of injury of the radial nerve is fracture of the middle part of the humerus. Midshaft, tawag ang midshaft. What is the spelling shaft? Ay, hindi ko maaaring spelling shaft. Anong meaning shaft? Spelling sa shaft. Midshaft.
Big shot.
May shafting Okay, so wrist drop is why wrist drop? Because all the action of the extensors. The extensor group of muscles are paralyzed. So they cannot extend the wrist. So firme lang yan nakagulong. Yan ang wrist drop. The radial nerve. Okay. So the radial nerve found in the initially in the posterior part, but it winds around, no? Because it's spiral, as the name implies, spiral, baga letter S. So it follows the groove spiral, then becomes anterior liquation in the cubital fossa. So in the cubital fossa, take note, the radial nerve is now located in the cubital fossa. So you might think it's located in the posterior, but in the cubital fossa, it becomes anterior. It will be found between what muscle? Brachialis and brachiobrachialis. Aday habot nga, brachialis and brachiobrachialis. That will be the location of the radial nerve as in the region of the cubital fossa. That is why Radial nerve is one of the content of the cubital fossa. It will come out the exam what are the contents of the cubital fossa. Do you expect radial nerve? No. It is one of the content. So, what nerve is not found in the cubital fossa? Do you know? Ulnar. Correct. Ulnar nerve not found in cubital. Ayaw nyo makita ang ulnar nerve. Well, can you find the ulnar nerve? Ayin man. Di. Di ba na kurinti? Di na kurinti, di ulnar nerve yan. You have there a groove in the posterior, lateral epicondyle. Medial rather, medial epicondyle. You have there groove for the ulnar nerve. Yan ang pa. So it's not a content. Ang radial nerve is a content. So at the region of the lateral epicondyle, the radial nerve will now divide into two. Abot mo ano ba ini? Ayan. So this is now the radial nerve will now divide into two. What are the two terminal branches? This deep branch rather, the deep branch and superficial branch. Okay? The deep branch and the superficial branch. So the deep branch will supply all the muscles. The radial nerve, yung lateral and posterior compartment supplied by the radial nerve. The deep branch. Superficial branch, what muscle will be supplied? Superficial branch. What superficial branch of the radial nerve will supply what muscle? It will not supply any muscle. It is a cutaneous nerve, di ba? I mentioned it's cutaneous. Pag cutaneous gani, it will not supply a muscle. It will supply the skin. So superficial branch of the radial nerve is a cutaneous nerve. Meaning to say, it will supply skin. Yung mention natin dito, ang skin hain to banda. Mano, this one here, this is the superficial branch. It will supply the skin here. It will not supply any muscle. So it is the deep branch that will supply all the muscles. The deep branch, to enter the posterior compartment, it will pierce the muscle. What is that muscle there? Being pierced. Ay naman ito ba? Yan. Nag-pierce, ano man ang muscle? Supinator. So it will pierce the supinator to enter the posterior compartment of the forearm. So it will not supply all the muscles of the posterior compartment of the forearm. Okay? This is the site of insertion. Take note that the long extensor tendons will blend with fascial expansion, which is called extensor or dorsal expansion. Hi, what is that? Dorsal expansion or extensor expansion. This one here. Okay, it is in the dorsum of the finger, the fascia becomes taken. That thickness is called the dorsal expansion, and the muscles, the tendons, will blend also with that so-called dorsal expansion. And why is this dorsal expansion is also important? Because it is not only the extensor, or rather, yes, the extensor tendons, but there are muscles that will be inserted in the dorsal expansion. Do you know what are the other muscles that will be inserted in dorsal expansion? We say that the dorsal expansion at the dorsum of the finger is intended for the long extensor tendons. For the long extensor tendons. The long extensor tendons will blend with the dorsal expansion before it is being inserted. But is dorsal expansion, there are other muscles that will be inserted in the dorsal expansion. Do you know what are the muscles? It will be gluteal exam, Dorsal expansion is located the dorsum of the finger where the long extensor tendons will blend. But it also is the site for the insertion of some of the muscles in the palmar aspect of the hand. What are these muscles in the palmar aspect of the hand which are also inserted in the dorsal expansion? Mention ka ng isa kanina, ay na ito.
Hino.
Oy, adik, ano man? Kita, lubricants, kita, di ba? Can you see it is inserted? Ha? It is inserted also. Yan. Yan. This is lubricant. And you will appreciate that this is inserted in the dorsal expansion. Now, aside from the lubricals, what other muscles? Interossei. The interossei muscles are divided into two: the palmar and the dorsal. Okay, dorsal muscle. The muscle here, you can appreciate here that root of the thumb enabling a muscle. Dorsal is the first dorsal interosseous, the largest interosseous muscle which you can feel. Okay, so these are the muscles supplied, attached, inserted on the dorsal expansion. What would be the clinical consideration of this? Lumbricals and the interossei muscles are also inserted into the dorsal expansion. By virtue of its dorsal insertion in the dorsal expansion, it will help in what action of the fingers? Extension. Extension of the fingers. Take note, lumbricals and interossei helps in what movement? Extension of the fingers. And another action, important action, is flexion of metacarpophalangeal joints. Metacarpophalangeal joints. Now, why did I emphasize this one? Because if you have injury, by the way, these lumbricals and especially the interossei are supplied by what nerve? Radial and posterior. We are talking about yung mga interossei, palmar,
Median.
lumbricals added to sa palmar aspect.
Median.
The median nerve will only supply the first and second lumbricals. The third and fourth supplied by ulnar nerve. The interossei, all interossei, palmar and dorsal are supplied by ulnar nerve. Why did I mention that one? Because if you have injury to the ulnar nerve, the hand will appear like this. What they call is slow hand. Slow hand. Yeah, that is slow hand. You can, madali ay ano, makita, slow hand. But if you explain, bakit nagkaganon? Bakit slow hand? Bakit nagkaganon? Bakit? Yeah, but you will notice that in a glow hand, there is extension of the metacarpophalangeal, especially on the third and the fifth, fourth and fifth. Ang fourth and fifth talaga niya na hyperextend. Hyperextend. Diba? Ang glow hand sugat. Injury now. Glow hand is injury on what nerve? Ulnar. The ulnar nerve supplies all interossei. The action of the interossei being inserted to lumbricals, the action of the interossei being inserted into the dorsal expansion is to flex the metacarpophalangeal joint. Flex the metacarpo, ganon. This is the action, no? Bugang cobra. Try to see this one. Aman yung position with the muscles will action of lumbricals interossei. There is extension of the fingers, yeah, cobra. extension of the fingers, interphalangeal joints, and there is flexion of the metacarpophalangeal joint. Injury to these muscles, ang hand masugat. Kluhan tawag. Kluhan. So there is, take note, hyperextension of the metacarpo, especially on the fourth and fifth, because of the paralysis of the interossei. Interossei yung muscle dili nag-flex. Take note again, this interossei muscle, rubricals, especially interossei supplied on the nerve, the primary action is to flex the metacarpophalangeal joint. Injury to the ulnar nerve, there is paralysis of the interossei, there is no flexion metacarpophalangeal joint, the metacarpophalangeal joint becomes hyperextended. Paralysis man ang na-paralyze man ang flexor. So ma-hyperextend ang position niya. So let's explain bakit ganito. Hyperextension. You understand? So probably in the exam. Explain why.
Doc, is it?
Wala yung objective lang. A, B, C, D, E, B, E. You do not know B, right? B.
Doc, B or G? B? B.
Always
B.
Always be
B. Always B. Noted, Doc.
Always right.
Uy! Go!
Aman to di kuhan. Gibbs. Ada na Gibbs. Nawaray naman yung battery. Hay, may company yung battery.
Charge mo na
Function charge? Ay.